Following high school, I decided to pursue a lifelong dream of becoming, of all things, a professional wrestler. And if you know anything about pro wrestling, you know there are good guys and there are bad guys. And shockingly enough, I was a bad guy. So it was my job in wrestling to make the crowd dislike me as much as possible so that they would then cheer for the good guy all the more. And one of the best ways to get people to dislike you is to show just a real lack of humility. I would go out to the ring and just be full of myself and arrogant and boastful and only care about myself, and this really got the crowd going a lot of times. And I remember one time in particular, it was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and there was a guy in the crowd and he was legitimately getting pretty mad at me, and to the point where I believe he was making threats at me and probably my loved ones. And also wanting to jump the guardrail and come into the ring. Fortunately, he didn't. But needless to say, lack of humility, even if you're just acting, will always cause problems. And this is never more true than when we're talking about the advancement of the gospel. And the big picture in the book of Philippians is that Paul is trying to get the Philippians, and broader application, us today, to be unified in order to advance the gospel. So when we come to Philippians chapter 2, we see an attribute that is absolutely necessary to be unified to advance the gospel, and that attribute is humility. Paul starts off in verses 1 through 11 by discussing the greatest example of humility that we have, which is the Lord Jesus Christ. And then as we come to verse 19, I believe Paul, as he was reflecting on this attribute of humility, two of his ministry partners came to mind, and that is Timothy and Epaphroditus. And what we're going to do is focus on Timothy, which is verses 19 through 24. And through the example of Timothy's humility, we are going to see three aspects of